I'll tell anyone who cares to listen how much of a fan I am of the War of the Worlds, in almost all its incarnations. And I'm always on the lookout for adaptations, continuations, or whatever in, any format. Although just lately the ones we've been seeing on screen haven't exactly been stellar. But, regarding books and comic books and audio adaptions, always looking out for them. And I noticed this when I was on Kickstarter back in the spring, was it? Maybe back in the spring, that it was announced that there was a Kickstarter campaign of a three-part comic book um, telling of the story of the Thunder Child, what she was doing before the invasion, leading right up to her eventual demise. So yeah, interest peaked. I invested in it, and last week was sent the download of the stories um, in a PDF file, and the physical copies here arrived a couple of days ago. So sat down with a cup of coffee and I devoured all three in one sitting. And so I thought I would show it to you today. Okay, so I'm not going to show you it all because I want some surprises left. And if you're a fan of the War of the Worlds, uh, when it's out, I'm not sure when it out. I have seen something about there's going to be signings and stuff, so I don't know if it's like later in the year or beginning of next year, but it is going to be out in the shops. All right. So I thought I would whet your whatnots today, and have a flick through. So all through the Kickstarter campaign, images were being put up. Oh, by the way, each issue is, you know, one large image. It's very nicely bound. I don't dare pull that out though to show the full image. Okay. Um, yeah, images were released, and I like the fact that you've got a bit of the Spielberg version going on here. You've got the dome affair described in the book. You don't have fixed pivot points as in the book. The legs are just represented by these lines, and that's fine. All right. No catching basket at the back, but you do have the tendrils hanging down. Right. So that's a big plus. So if we open up, we'll see that the writers are Matthew Hardy and Rob Jones. The artist is Kevin Castronero. Sorry if I got that wrong. Simon Gow, colorist. Rob Jones, letterer, designer. And there's all the others. Right. So um, when we start off, this is the Thunderchild returning to England, and returns to England, and somehow it gets via telegram news of the eruptions being noticed on Mars. Now, when I first read this, it's like, well, that's a bit of a stretch, isn't it? Why would they be sent telegram news on something like that? And the other thing that took me the first reading to get used to is I really like the art, but every so often the artist goes into like full on manga style extreme expressions, which I've found most odd to begin with. But after a while, I got used to it. Okay. So these are the Youngs, a couple that are on the Thunderchild. This is the Major, who's all for war. He's a bit like Stephen Fry in Blackadder Goes Forth. Um, he says in the story how, the one constant throughout man's history is war. It's inevitable, and he's against any sort of pacifism. So the story starts off. See, this was a bit jarring for me to begin with, but so that was a bit startling. It's also odd that we've got a captain of the ship, but this is a comic book written in 2025, and yeah, you read the novel War of the Worlds. There's not a lot in the way of um, um, women, let alone strong women or anything. But it's explained that she's the captain of the Thunderchild because her husband who was the captain, died on this voyage, and the crew, out of respect for him, call her captain. That's a neat way of getting around the fact that you didn't have female captains of ships in the Victorian Royal Navy. So yeah, we move on. We move on. Lovely art, as you can see. This is a stretch as well. The fact that they witness one of the cylinders for This Is It landing in the sea, and immediately the youngs know that that's a Martian cylinder. Don't know how, but you know, I'll just go along with it. Um, as I say, I don't want to give away too much. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump forward to where they approach England, and out of the fog, out of the red mist, is just destruction, as you can see, right? But I'm going to end part one just about here. All right. No, let's end on the first reveal of a tripod. Look at that. Really smart. Okay. So that's all I'm going to show you on part one. Part one, when I finished reading that, and it's like, blimey, we've got 3 issues and they are already in the pool of London. What's going on? How can you sustain this over 3 issues if they're already at London and the Martians are in London? Well, it turns out that part 2 is mainly them arriving in London, uh, going ashore and having their ships commandeered. By the way, the captain of the second ship, which accompanies the Thunderchild, I don't know if this is a nod to Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen when they did what would happen if the League went up against the Martian invasion and you had Captain Nemo. Because this guy, he is acting and sounding an awful like Alan Moore's Captain Nemo. But basically, issue 2 is a battle in London, which ends with the 2 ships going off, deciding that they are going to protect the flotilla that are trying to flee down the Essex estuary. All right. And then the third one, I'm thinking, okay, they are now out at sea. They're being fired upon. We know what's going to happen. We know from the book that the Thunderchild stands between the Martians and the steamers that are trying to leave. It manages to decapitate a tripod, but then is hit by the second tripod, is about to blow up, crashes into the second one, and that's when it is destroyed. So you know how it's going to end, but it's like a whole issue getting you to that point. Again, I don't want to do spoilers. You know, if you're a fan of War of the Worlds, I recommend this. It's a cracking read, but I don't want to give away too much about what happens to the various characters throughout the story. In fact, I'm trying to peer around now. I can show you that page. I can't go any further. All I'll say is this is after the first tripod has been downed and it crashes with its body on the prow of the Thunderchild. And all I'll say is there is a human face to Martian face encounter. All right. And that's how I'm going to leave it. All right. Because, yeah, I don't want to give anything away. If you buy this, I want you wondering what's going to happen. Same as I was yesterday when I read it. All right. So that's it. For the Kickstarter, you also get a War of the Worlds bookmark. There's a little flyer for some of the other products and a couple of nice, really nice little art prints. So there we go. That's it. I'm glad I backed it. I'm really glad I backed it, and I hope it's a success. It was a bit jarring on the first read because you know I've read and reread the novel so many times over my long years to actually see yeah things liberties being taken. But it's science fiction, isn't it? You know, and this is another version of War of the Worlds. Science fiction, it's fiction. You can do what you like. All right, that's it. That's me done. See you next time.